Daniel Carter stood in the center of the Galactic Council chambers and felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on him. The chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from hundreds of worlds. Crystal pillars rose to a ceiling so high it disappeared into artificial clouds. Floating platforms held the various alien species that made up the council. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few existed as clouds of gas in containment fields. Daniel had stood here many times in the past 3 years. Each time, he brought the same message. Each time, the council gave him the same dismissive response. "Honored council members," Daniel began, his voice amplified by the chamber's sound system. "I come before you again to request protection for human colony vessels. In the past 2 months, 3 of our ships have been attacked by raiders along the Corven trade route. High Counselor Vexthar, a towering being with 6 arms and skin like polished stone, made a sound that the translator interpreted as a laugh. Ambassador Carter. The Corven route passes through 17 different territorial zones. We cannot assign protection to every species that claims difficulty." Lauren Mitchell, standing beside Daniel, stepped forward. She wore the uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, but her background was military. "These were not random attacks. We have evidence that shows coordination. Families were killed. Children were killed. Evidence?" Another counselor, this one resembling a floating jellyfish, pulsed with colors. "You humans have been part of this council for barely 3 cycles. You do not yet understand the complexities of galactic commerce." Daniel pulled up a holographic display. Images filled the air above the council floor. Burned ships, bodies floating in space, a child's toy drifting among the debris. 73 people died in these attacks, Daniel said. His voice remained calm, but his hands gripped the edge of the podium. "We are asking for basic protection. The same protection you provide to other council members." Vexthar waved a dismissive hand. "Other members have contributed to council security forces for generations. They have earned such protection. Earth has provided what? A handful of ships? Some minor technology? You cannot expect equal treatment when you have not earned it." Several other counselors voiced agreement. The sound of their various languages mixed into a wave of dismissal. Lauren's jaw tightened. "We have offered to patrol the routes ourselves. We only ask for council authorization." "Absolutely not," Vexthar said. "Human military vessels operating in council space without supervision? That would set a dangerous precedent." "No, Ambassador Carter. Your request is denied, as it was denied last month. And the month before that, Counselor Zephyra, a being that looked almost human except for her silver skin and 4 fingers, spoke up. Her voice was softer than the others. Perhaps we could authorize limited patrols. The human losses are not insignificant. They are insignificant to the Council, Vexthar said. We have more pressing matters. The Krillian Empire has territorial disputes that require our attention. The Peltheran trade agreements need renewal. We cannot focus on every minor species that faces routine difficulties. Daniel felt something cold settle in his chest. Minor species. Routine difficulties. They were talking about dead children, as if they were paperwork delays. I understand, Daniel said quietly. Then we will handle this matter ourselves. You will do no such thing, Vexthar said. Any unauthorized military action will result in sanctions. Your trade agreements will be revoked. Your colonies will be isolated. Do you understand me, Ambassador? Before Daniel could respond, an urgent message appeared on his communication device. He glanced at it and felt his blood turn to ice. Lauren saw his expression and checked her own device. Her face went pale. What is it? Zephyra asked, leaning forward on her platform. Daniel looked up at the council. New Kansas. Our agricultural colony. Population 12,000. What about it? Vexthar asked. It's gone, Daniel said. A Krillian war fleet just destroyed it. Every city, every farm, every person. The council chamber erupted in noise. Counselors spoke over each other in dozens of languages. The translator system struggled to keep up. Vexthar raised his hands for silence. That is clearly a mistake. The Krillian Empire is a valued council member. They would not attack a colony without provocation. Without provocation? Lauren's voice cut through the chamber like a knife. 12,000 civilians are dead, and you're talking about provocation? Daniel was already pulling up the data from New Kansas. The images appeared in the holographic display. Cities burning. Orbital bombardment, destroying everything. The timestamps showed it had happened less than an hour ago. This was no accident, Daniel said. The targeting was precise. They hit population centers first. Then they destroyed the agricultural domes. They wanted maximum casualties. A message appeared in the holographic display. It came from Krillian High Command. Daniel read it aloud. The Krillian Empire regrets the accidental weapons discharge that affected the human settlement on the world they call New Kansas. We offer our apologies for this unfortunate incident. No further action is required. Accidental? Lauren said. They're calling the murder of 12,000 people an accident? Vexthar studied the images with his multiple eyes. It does appear to be a tragic error. These things happen in space. Weapons systems malfunction. The Krillians have apologized. That should be sufficient. Daniel stared at the High Counselor. Sufficient? You think an apology is sufficient for genocide? Do not use such dramatic language, Vexthar said. Genocide implies intent. This was clearly an accident. The Council accepts the Krillian explanation. Of course you do, Daniel said. His voice was very quiet now. Because the Krillian Empire has 40 worlds and thousands of ships. Because they have been part of this council for centuries. Because they matter, and we don't. Now you begin to understand galactic politics, Vexthar said. Yes, Ambassador. Some species matter more than others. That is the reality of power. Earth is new. Earth is weak. Earth must accept its place. Daniel looked around the chamber. Most of the counselors looked away. A few, like Zephyra, seemed troubled, but none spoke up. I see, Daniel said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. He placed it on the podium and pressed a button. What is that? Vexthar demanded. A recall beacon, Daniel said. I am withdrawing all human diplomats from council space. I am closing our embassy. I am severing all formal ties with this body. You cannot do that, Vexthar said. There are procedures. There are protocols. You can keep your procedures, Daniel said. And your protocols. And your justice. We will handle this ourselves. I warned you about unauthorized military action, Vexthar said. If Earth acts against the Krillian Empire, we will impose sanctions. We will isolate your worlds. You will face the full weight of council disapproval. Daniel looked at Lauren. She nodded. They both turned and walked toward the exit. Ambassador Carter. Vexthar's voice echoed through the chamber. Do not make this mistake. Your species is not ready for conflict with a major power. You will be crushed. Your colonies will burn. Your homeworld will be blockaded. Is that what you want? Daniel stopped at the doorway. He turned back to face the council. High Counselor, you have made a critical error. You believe humans are weak because we are patient. You believe we are helpless because we follow rules. You believe we will accept this because we have accepted your dismissals before, and you will accept it. Vexthar said. Because you have no choice, Daniel smiled. But there was no warmth in it. We always have a choice. You are about to learn what happens when humans stop being patient. When we stop following rules that protect our enemies, when we stop accepting injustice, empty threats, Vexthar said. Go home, Ambassador. Mourn your dead. Accept your place. That is all you can do. Daniel and Lauren walked out of the chamber. Behind them, the council returned to its regular business, already forgetting the minor species that had made such a scene. They had no idea what was coming. Admiral Kevin Harris watched Earth grow larger in the view screen as his ship approached orbit. He had been recalled from the outer colonies along with every other senior military officer. The recall order had been simple and direct. Return to Earth immediately. Prepare for war. Kevin had served in Earth's Navy for 23 years. He had commanded vessels ranging from small patrol craft to massive carriers. He had fought pirates, broken up smuggling rings, and defended colonies from raiders. But he had never seen Earth mobilize like this. "Admiral, we're receiving clearance to dock at Station Alpha," his communications officer said. "You're expected in the command center within the hour." "Understood," Kevin said. He looked at the blue and green planet below. Somewhere down there, 12,000 people from New Kansas were being mourned. Families destroyed, children who would never grow up, all dismissed as an accident by beings who cared nothing for human life. The Council had made a mistake. They thought humanity's patience was weakness. They were about to learn the difference. An hour later, Kevin stood in Earth Defense Command's main operations center. The room was buried 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays showed the position of every human vessel, every colony, every station. Red indicators marked recent attack sites. A massive red zone highlighted Krillian space. President Eric Thompson stood at the center of the room, surrounded by military commanders and civilian advisors. He was a tall man, with gray hair and tired eyes. Kevin had met him twice before. Both times, the president had impressed him with his calm demeanor and sharp mind. "Admiral Harris," the president said. "Good, we're all here. General Ross, begin the briefing." General Amanda Ross stepped forward. She commanded the Colonial Marine Corps, the ground forces that protected human settlements. She pulled up a tactical display. 3 days ago, the Krillian Empire destroyed New Kansas, 12,000 dead. The Galactic Council called it an accident and closed the matter. They have made it clear they will not provide justice. Amanda's voice was hard as steel. Our intelligence indicates this was not an isolated incident. The Krillian Empire has been testing our defenses. The raider attacks on our colony ships were actually Krillian special forces. They wanted to see how we would respond. And we responded with diplomatic complaints, Kevin said. Which they ignored. Exactly, Amanda said. They believe we are weak. The Council believes we are a minor species with limited military capability. They base this on the fleet roster we provided when we joined the Council. She pulled up another display. It showed 37 human warships, small destroyers, a handful of cruisers, 2 carriers. This is what the Council thinks we have, Amanda said. This is what we wanted them to think we have. The display changed. New ships appeared. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Battleships that dwarfed anything the Council had seen. Carriers that could hold entire fleets of fighters. Weapons platforms hidden in asteroid belts and moon bases. Kevin allowed himself a small smile. The deception had worked perfectly. We have 347 combat vessels, Amanda said. We have another 200 support ships. We have ground forces numbering over 5 million trained soldiers. We have weapons systems the Council doesn't know exist. Why the deception? One of the other admirals asked. Why hide our strength? President Thompson answered. Because we needed time. Time to build. Time to prepare. Time to understand the galactic situation before showing our hand. We appeared weak to avoid threats, while we grew strong enough to meet them. Dr. Christopher Hayes, the head of weapons research, stepped forward. He was a thin man, with wild hair and excited eyes. We've spent 3 years reverse engineering alien technology and combining it with our own innovations. The results exceed our projections. Our shields can withstand 3 times the punishment of standard Krillian designs. Our weapons have twice the range and 4 times the power output. Christopher pulled up schematics. We've also developed something unique. Every species in the galaxy comes from worlds with standard gravity, 0.8 to 1.2 Earth standard. But Earth is a death world. Our gravity is 1.4 times what they consider normal. Our atmospheric pressure is higher. Our temperature swings are more extreme. What does that mean for combat? Another officer asked. It means our soldiers are stronger, Christopher said. Our pilots can handle acceleration forces that would kill most aliens. Our Marines can carry equipment that would crush a Krillian soldier. We trained in harsh conditions because that's just Earth. For them, it's beyond their physical limits. Kevin thought about the implications. Human soldiers who were naturally stronger and tougher than most aliens. Ships designed for crews who could handle extreme conditions. It was an advantage the Council had never considered. "When do we move?" Kevin asked. President Thompson walked to the main display. "I'm addressing the nation in 2 hours. I will tell them what happened to New Kansas. I will tell them the Council refused justice, and I will tell them we will not accept this." He turned to face the assembled officers. "We are not seeking conquest. We are not starting a war of aggression, but we will have justice for our dead. The Krillian Empire killed 12,000 civilians. They will answer for that crime." "What about the Council?" General Ross asked. "They threatened sanctions if we take military action." "Let them impose sanctions," the President said. "We have resources they need more than we need theirs. Our agricultural output feeds a dozen worlds. Our manufacturing supports half the independent colonies. Our technology patents underpin their entertainment and communication systems. They can try to hurt us economically, but they will hurt themselves worse." Commander Nicole Bennett spoke up. She led special operations, the teams that handled covert missions. "Mr. President, my teams are ready to deploy. We can have intelligence assets in Krillian space within 48 hours. We can identify military targets, command structures, and defensive weaknesses." "Do it," the President said. "But I want 0 civilian casualties. 0. We are not the Krillian Empire. We do not kill the innocent to prove a point." Nicole nodded. "Understood, sir." Kevin studied the tactical display. The Krillian Empire controlled 42 worlds. They had a fleet of nearly 600 vessels. On paper, they outnumbered humanity 2-1, but numbers didn't tell the whole story. Krillian ships were old designs, built to Council standards. They had never faced a peer opponent. Their last war had been 3 centuries ago against a species that had surrendered after a single battle. Human ships were new, cutting edge, designed by people who had spent their entire history fighting each other and pushing the limits of what was possible. Every system had been tested in Earth's harsh environment. Every weapon had been refined through countless simulations. The Krillians were about to face an enemy unlike any they had encountered. "How long until we're ready to strike?" the President asked. "Our forces are mobilizing now," Kevin said. "Colony defense networks are activating. Our merchant fleet is converting to auxiliary status. We can begin offensive operations in 72 hours. "Make it 48, the President said. "Every hour we delay, the Krillians grow more confident that they got away with murder." The meeting continued for another hour, going over logistics, supply lines, and rules of engagement. When it ended, Kevin returned to his ship with new orders and a new purpose. He stood on the bridge and looked at his crew. They were young, most of them. They had joined Earth's Navy, hoping for adventure among the stars. Now they were going to war. "Crew, this is Admiral Harris," he said over the ship-wide communication system. "By now, you've all heard about New Kansas. 12,000 people murdered by the Krillian Empire. The Galactic Council has refused to provide justice, so we will provide it ourselves." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We are not monsters. We are not conquerors. We are not seeking to build an empire, but we are going to show the galaxy that humanity will not accept the slaughter of our people. We will show them that attacking us has consequences. We will show them that we protect our own." The crew responded with determination. Kevin could feel it through the ship. They were ready. Across human space, the same scene played out. Fleets assembled, Marines loaded into dropships. Fighter pilots ran pre-flight checks. Technicians armed missiles and charged energy weapons. Scientists activated experimental systems. The galaxy had dismissed humanity as a minor species, as newcomers who should accept their low status. As weak beings from a backwater world who posed no threat. The galaxy was about to be corrected. President Thompson's address went out to every human world, every station, every ship. He spoke for 20 minutes. He told the truth about New Kansas. He showed the evidence of Krillian guilt, He explained the Council's refusal to act. And then he said the words that changed everything. The Krillian Empire believes they can kill our people without consequence. The Galactic Council believes we will accept injustice because we lack power. They are both wrong. Today, humanity stops being patient. Today, we demand justice. And if justice is refused, we will take it. The galaxy listened. Most species dismissed it as empty rhetoric from an angry minor power. The Council prepared sanctions. The Krillian Empire laughed at the threat. None of them understood what was coming. In shipyards hidden in asteroid belts, massive vessels powered up their engines. In training facilities across a dozen worlds, soldiers boarded transports. In research labs deep underground, scientists activated weapons that bent the laws of physics. Humanity was going to war. And the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Ryan Foster watched the Krillian border station grow larger on his view screen. The EDS Valiant hung in space 300,000 kilometers away, far enough to avoid immediate detection but close enough to strike when ordered. Ryan had commanded the Valiant for 2 years. She was a heavy cruiser, one of the ships Earth had hidden from the Council. 600 meters long, bristling with weapons, powered by reactors that could outrun anything the Krillians had. "Captain, we're receiving the go signal from Admiral Harris," his communications officer said. "Operation Justice is active. We are weapons-free." Ryan took a deep breath. This was it. The moment everything changed. "All ships, this is Valiant Actual. Begin the attack. Target military installations only. I want clean strikes. No civilian casualties. Show them what humanity can do." The Valiant surged forward, her engines pushing the ship to speeds that would have crushed a Krillian crew. But Ryan's people had trained in Earth's heavy gravity. They could handle the acceleration. Beside Valiant, 2 destroyers and a carrier kept pace. The carrier began launching fighters. Small, fast ships piloted by men and women who had learned to fly in Earth's thick atmosphere and brutal weather. Lieutenant Michelle Parker led the fighter wing. She sat in her cockpit and felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as her craft shot out of the carrier's launch bay. "Gold Squadron, form up on me," Michelle said. "We're going for their communications array. Silver Squadron, take their sensor grid. Red Squadron, cover the capital ships." The fighters split into 3 groups, moving with a precision that came from hundreds of hours of training. They had practiced these maneuvers in Earth's atmosphere, where a single mistake meant death. Space combat felt almost easy by comparison. The Krillian station detected them when they were 50,000 kilometers out. Alarms blared across the facility. Krillian defense fighters launched from hangar bays. "Incoming bogies," Michelle's sensor officer said. "Count as 42 fighters, various classes." "Copy that," Michelle said. "Engage at will. Remember your training." The 2 groups of fighters met in a clash of energy weapons and missiles. The Krillians fought with standard Council tactics, formations designed centuries ago and never updated. Michelle's pilots tore through them. Human fighters jinked and rolled with moves impossible for most alien pilots. The high-G maneuvers would have knocked a Krillian unconscious. Michelle's people barely noticed. "Fox 3, Michelle said, launching a missile at a Krillian heavy fighter. The weapon streaked through space and punched through the enemy's shields. The Krillian ship exploded in a ball of fire. All around her, the battle raged. But it was less a battle and more a demonstration. Krillian pilots, who had trained against predictable opponents, faced humans who fought with creativity, born from centuries of warfare against each other. Within 10 minutes, 30 Krillian fighters were destroyed. The remaining 12 retreated to the station's defensive perimeter. "Gold Squadron, weapons clear," Michelle reported. Beginning attack run on communications array. Her fighters dove toward the station, dodging defensive fire. The Krillian gunners couldn't track them. Human pilots moved too fast, changed direction too quickly, used the station's own structure as cover in ways the Krillians had never considered. Michelle lined up her shot. The communications array was a massive structure on the station's upper deck. She locked her targeting system and fired. Energy beams lanced out from her fighter. They sliced through the array's support structure. The entire assembly tore away from the station and tumbled into space. "Target destroyed," Michelle said. "The station is deaf. They can't call for help." While the fighters neutralized the station's defenses, Captain Ryan brought the Valiant into firing range. The Krillian station was armed with dozens of weapon platforms. On paper, they could destroy a cruiser. But the Valiant's shields were designed to specifications the Krillians didn't know existed. Energy beams that should have cut through her hull barely drained her shield strength. "Return fire," Ryan ordered. "Precision strikes only. Hit their weapons, their engines, their military systems. Leave life support intact." The Valiant's gunners went to work. They had trained for this. Every shot counted. Every target mattered. They were not here to slaughter. They were here to neutralize a military threat. Krillian weapon platforms exploded under accurate fire. Engine pods sparked and died. Hangar bays were sealed by precisely placed shots that disabled the doors without destroying the facilities. "Captain, the station is launching escape pods," the tactical officer reported. "Let them go," Ryan said. "We're not here to kill people fleeing. We're here to remove a military asset." The battle lasted 43 minutes. When it ended, the Krillian border station hung in space, crippled but intact. Its weapons were destroyed, its communications were down, its fighters were wrecked, but its life support remained online, and the crew was safe in the interior sections. "Status report," Ryan said. "All ships green, Captain. Minor shield damage on destroyer Carson, already regenerating. Fighter wing reports 2 birds with damage. Returning to carrier. No casualties on our side." Ryan allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Then he opened a channel to the station. "Krillian Station Commander, this is Captain Ryan Foster of Earth Defense Ship Valiant. Your station is neutralized. You are no longer a military threat. We are leaving a marker buoy with emergency supplies and communication equipment. Use it to call for rescue. This is not a war of extermination. This is justice for New Kansas." There was no response from the station. Ryan hadn't expected one. "All ships, proceed to rally Point Beta. We have 2 more targets tonight." The human task force moved on, leaving the crippled station behind. Within an hour, similar scenes played out at 2 other Krillian military bases. Both were neutralized with surgical precision. Both were left intact enough for the crews to survive. Across the border, 3 Krillian military installations had been eliminated in a single night. 0 civilian casualties. 0 human losses. The message was clear and brutal. Krillian Fleet Commander Thex Carr received the reports in his flagship orbiting the Krillian homeworld. He had 4 arms, each ending in 3 clawed fingers. Right now, all 12 fingers were clenched in fury. "Impossible," he said. "Humans do not have this capability. Our intelligence reports showed them as weak, poorly equipped, no threat." His tactical officer, a younger Krillian named Vexil, pulled up the combat footage. It showed human ships moving with impossible speed and agility. It showed fighters performing maneuvers that should have killed their pilots. It showed weapons that cut through Krillian shields like they didn't exist. "Commander, we need to reassess," Vexil said. "These humans are not what we thought. They have been hiding their true strength." "Body, no." Thexkar watched footage of the Valiant in combat. The human ship took hits that would have crippled a Krillian vessel and barely slowed down. Its weapons fired with accuracy his own gunners couldn't match. "How many ships do they have?" Thexkar demanded. "Unknown, Commander. Our intelligence was clearly flawed. We know about the 37 vessels they reported to the Council. We don't know what else they've been hiding." Thexkar felt something he hadn't experienced in his 40 years of military service. Fear. Not for himself, but for his people. The Krillian Empire had dominated this region of space for centuries. They had grown comfortable, soft. They fought minor skirmishes against pirates and rebels. They had forgotten what real war looked like. "Send a message to High Command," Thexkar said. "Tell them the humans are a legitimate military threat. Tell them we need to mobilize the full fleet." "Sir." That hasn't been done in 300 years. Then it's past time, Thexkar said. These humans just destroyed 3 military bases in one night without losing a single ship. That's not luck. That's skill. That's preparation. That's an enemy who knows exactly what they're doing. He looked at the tactical display showing Krillian space. 42 worlds. Hundreds of stations. Thousands of ships. It should have been more than enough to crush humanity, but now Thexkar wasn't sure. On Earth, Admiral Kevin Harris watched the reports come in from all 3 strike teams. Mission success across the board. All objectives achieved. All personnel accounted for. He stood in the command center and felt grim satisfaction. The first blow had been struck. The Krillians now knew humanity was serious. Lauren Mitchell, the former diplomatic liaison, now serving as fleet intelligence, approached him. Admiral, we're picking up increased Krillian military communications. They're mobilizing their full fleet. Initial estimates suggest they're gathering at least 400 vessels. Good, Kevin said. Let them gather. Let them see what's coming. Fear is a weapon too. Sir, 400 ships is more than we can handle in a direct engagement, Kevin smiled. Who said anything about a direct engagement? We're not here to conquer the Krillian Empire. We're here to make them understand that killing humans has consequences. There are many ways to teach that lesson. He pulled up a star chart showing Krillian space. They'll expect us to attack their military targets. We will. But not the way they think. We're not going to fight a pitched battle. We're going to show them that no matter how many ships they have, they can't protect everything. Over the next week, human forces struck 17 more Krillian military facilities. Supply depots, shipyards, training bases. Each attack was precise. Each target was purely military. Each strike resulted in 0 civilian deaths. The Krillian fleet tried to respond, but human ships were faster. They hit targets and vanished before reinforcements arrived. They used tactics the Krillians had never seen. They fought with a coordination and efficiency that came from centuries of human warfare. The galaxy watched in shock. The minor species from Earth was not just fighting back. They were winning. And they were doing it while showing more restraint than anyone expected. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. They had ignored humanity's complaints. They had dismissed the New Kansas massacre. They had threatened sanctions against Earth. Now they watched as the Krillian Empire, one of the Council's major powers, struggled against a species they had all considered insignificant. The Council was about to learn a hard truth. Underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake they could make. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so crowded. Every member species had sent representatives. Observer species who normally stayed away filled the upper galleries. News organizations from 100 worlds broadcast the emergency session across the galaxy. High Counselor Vexthar stood at the center podium, his 6 arms gesturing for quiet. The noise in the chamber slowly died down. This emergency session is called to order, Vexthar said. We are here to discuss the human aggression against the Krillian Empire. In the past 2 weeks, human forces have attacked 20 military installations, destroying billions of credits worth of infrastructure. Counselor Zephyra, the silver-skinned representative from the Peltharen worlds, rose from her platform. With respect, High Counselor. Should we not first discuss the incident that prompted these attacks? The destruction of New Kansas? The destruction of New Kansas? That matter was settled, Vexthar said. The Krillians provided an explanation and an apology. The humans chose to escalate rather than accept it. An apology for 12,000 dead? Another counselor, a being made of crystalline structures, chimed in. That seems insufficient. The humans were warned, Vexthar said. They were told that unauthorized military action would result in sanctions. Yet, they proceeded anyway. The question before us is how to respond to this clear violation of council law. The chamber doors opened. Daniel Carter walked in, flanked by Lauren Mitchell and 3 other humans. They wore formal diplomatic attire, but their expressions were hard. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Carter, Vexthar said. You were not invited to this session. You withdrew from the council. I'm here as an observer, Daniel said. Council rules allow any species to observe emergency sessions, even non-members. Or have you changed the rules again? Um. Vex's Thar's stone-like face showed no expression, but his posture stiffened. Very well. You may observe. But you have no voice in these proceedings. I don't need a voice, Daniel said. I have evidence. He activated a holographic projector. Images filled the air above the council floor. The chamber watched in silence as the data appeared. This is the flight data from Krillian warships on the day New Kansas was destroyed, Daniel said. Notice the timestamps. Notice the targeting patterns. Notice how they adjusted their orbital position to maximize civilian casualties. The images showed Krillian vessels maneuvering into position, weapons powering up, targeting systems locking onto population centers. This was not an accident, Daniel said. This was a deliberate military action, designed to kill as many humans as possible. They targeted schools first, then hospitals, then residential areas. The agricultural domes, which had no strategic value, were destroyed last. Vexthar waved a dismissive hand. We have seen this data before. It proves nothing. Combat situations are chaotic. Mistakes happen. Then explain this, Daniel said. New images appeared, communications between Krillian ships and their high command. The translation scrolled across the display. Target the population centers. Make it hurt. Show these upstart humans their place. The chamber erupted in noise. Counselors shouted questions. Some demanded verification. Others called for calm. Zephra's voice cut through the chaos. High Counselor, this changes everything. If these communications are authentic, then New Kansas was not an accident. It was murder. The authenticity can be verified. Another counselor said. But the implications are serious. Daniel wasn't finished. We have more. Over the past year, 17 human cargo vessels have disappeared in Council space. The official explanation was pirates or navigation errors. We have evidence showing Krillian involvement in 12 of those disappearances. More data appeared, ship manifests, tracking data, communications intercepts. The Krillian Empire has been attacking human interests for over a year. They wanted to test us, to see if we would fight back. When we responded with diplomatic complaints, they escalated. New Kansas was meant to be the final message. Submit or be destroyed. This is propaganda, Vexthar said. Manufactured evidence designed to justify human aggression. Then let's verify it, Zephra said. We have the technology to authenticate these communications. We can confirm the flight data. Why not do so? Everyone, because it will take time we don't have, Vexthar said. The humans are attacking a council member world. We must act now. The chamber doors opened again. This time, a human woman walked in. She wore simple clothes and moved slowly, as if every step caused pain. Behind her walked Ambassador Gregory Wells, who specialized in intelligence operations. Daniel turned to see who had entered. His expression softened when he recognized her. This is Patricia Morgan, Daniel said to the council. She is a survivor of New Kansas. She lost her husband and 2 children in the attack. She has asked permission to address the council. This is highly irregular, Vexthar said. Let her speak, Zephra said. We should hear from someone who was actually there. Quote, other counselors voiced agreement. Vexthar reluctantly gestured for Patricia to approach. Patricia walked to the center of the chamber. She was a small woman, perhaps 40 years old, with dark hair and eyes that had seen too much pain. Honored counselors, she began. Her voice was quiet but steady. My name is Patricia Morgan. 3 weeks ago, I lived on New Kansas with my family. We had a small farm. We grew wheat and vegetables. My husband Tom taught at the local school. My daughter Lisa was 7. My son Ben was 5. The chamber was completely silent. On the day of the attack, I was in the eastern fields. I saw the Krillian ships appear in orbit. I saw their weapons charge. I tried to call my family, but the communications were jammed. I watched the city burn. I watched the school where Tom taught explode. I watched the residential district where my children were playing turn into fire. Patricia's voice cracked, but she continued. I survived because I was far from the primary targets. I dug into an irrigation ditch and pulled debris over me. The heat was so intense, I thought I would burn anyway. But I lived. I lived while 12,000 others died. Tears ran down her face. I'm not here to ask for revenge. I'm not here to demand blood. I'm here to ask you a simple question. If this had happened to one of your worlds, what would you do? She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various counselors. If someone killed your children and called it an accident, would you accept an apology? If someone burned your cities and the council told you to accept your place, would you stay quiet? Zephyra looked down from her platform. I am sorry for your loss. Thank you, Patricia said, but I don't need your sympathy. I need your justice. My children need justice. The 12,000 people who died need justice. That's all Earth is asking for. Not conquest, not revenge. Just justice. She turned and walked out of the chamber. The silence she left behind was heavy. Gregory Wells stepped forward. Counselors, I have one more piece of evidence to present. This concerns not just the Krillian attacks, but corruption within this very council. How dare you? Vexthar said. This chamber is beyond reproach. Is it? Gregory pulled up financial records. These documents show payments from the Krillian Empire to 17 different counselors over the past year. Large payments. Payments that coincide with votes on matters affecting human interests. The chamber exploded in accusations and denials. Counselors shouted at each other. Some demanded investigations. Others called Gregory a liar. Gregory's voice cut through the noise. Every complaint Earth made about attacks on our ships was dismissed by this council. Every request for protection was denied. Every appeal for justice was ignored. Now we know why. Some of you were being paid to vote against human interests. These accusations are baseless, Vexthar said. But his voice lacked conviction. Then investigate, Gregory said. Audit the accounts. Interview the counselors. See if I'm wrong, but we both know I'm not. Zephyra stood. I move that we conduct an immediate investigation into these allegations, and I move that we postpone any sanctions against Earth until we understand the full situation. Seconded, said another counselor, a being that resembled a large bird. This is absurd, Vexthar said. We cannot allow accusations to paralyze the council. We also cannot ignore evidence of corruption, Zephyra said. High Counselor, you have presided over this body for 30 years. Surely you want to ensure its integrity. The vote was called. The motion to investigate passed by a narrow margin. The motion to delay sanctions passed by an even narrower one. Vexthar sat heavily in his chair. His authority was slipping. The council he had controlled for decades was fracturing. Daniel watched it all with careful attention. The council was divided now. Some species, like the Peltharans, were openly supporting Earth's position. Others remained loyal to the Krillians. Many were undecided, waiting to see which way the wind blew. Ambassador Carter, Zephyra said. If the Council were to sanction the Krillian Empire, would Earth cease its military operations? Daniel considered the question carefully. That depends on the sanctions. If the Council demands that the Krillians face real consequences for their crimes, if they ensure no other species suffers what we have suffered, then yes. Earth seeks justice, not endless war. And if we cannot agree on appropriate sanctions, then Earth will continue to pursue justice on its own. Daniel said. We gave the Council a chance to do the right thing. You refused. We will not make that mistake again. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Several Council members have asked Earth to rejoin this body. We are considering it, but only if fundamental changes are made. No more ignoring crimes because the criminal is powerful. No more accepting bribes to vote against justice. No more treating some species as more important than others. Those are substantial demands, Zephyr said. They are basic standards of justice, Daniel said. If this council cannot meet them, then it has no purpose. Daniel and his delegation left the chamber. Behind them, the council descended into argument. Some wanted to defend the Krillians. Some wanted to condemn them. Some wanted to avoid taking any position at all. The unity that had held the council together for centuries was breaking apart. And at the center of the fracture was a species that had been dismissed as minor and unimportant. Earth had forced the galaxy to face an uncomfortable question. What good was a council that protected the powerful and ignored the weak? What value did laws have if they weren't applied equally? The answers to those questions would reshape galactic politics for generations to come. Admiral Kevin Harris stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the blue-green planet filling the view screen. The Krillian homeworld. Population 14 billion. The heart of an empire that had dominated this region of space for 500 years, and it was completely surrounded by human warships. All vessels report ready, Admiral, his tactical officer said. We have 312 ships in position. Weapons are charged, shields are up. We can begin bombardment on your order. Kevin said nothing. He just stared at the planet below. Beside him, Lauren Mitchell watched the same display. The Krillian defense fleet is holding position in high orbit. They're not attacking. They're just waiting. They know they can't win, Kevin said. Our 3 weeks of operations have shown them that. They're hoping we'll make a mistake. That we'll prove ourselves to be the monsters they claimed we were. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's Emperor Krellix himself. Put him through. The view screen changed. The Krillian Emperor appeared. He had 6 arms like all his species, but his were decorated with golden bands that marked his rank. His face was unreadable to human eyes. Admiral Harris, the Emperor said, you have won. My fleet cannot defeat you. My worlds are defenseless. I assume you are here to exact revenge for New Kansas. I'm here for justice, Kevin said. Not revenge. Is there a difference? Your ships surround my homeworld. You have the power to kill billions, just as we killed your thousands. Is that not revenge? Kevin leaned forward. Your Majesty, in the past 3 weeks, human forces have destroyed 42 Krillian military installations. We have disabled hundreds of your warships. We have crippled your ability to project force across the region. And in all that time, we have killed exactly 0 Krillian civilians. The Emperor was silent. We could have bombarded your colonies, Kevin continued. We could have targeted your population centers the way you targeted ours. We could have made you feel the pain you inflicted on us. But we didn't. Do you know why? Do you know why? Enlighten me. Because we are not you. We do not kill the innocent to prove a point. We do not murder children to send a message. We fight to protect our people and to ensure justice, not to spread suffering. On Earth, President Eric Thompson watched the same transmission. He sat in the Situation Room with his advisors, monitoring every aspect of the operation. Mr. President, one of his aides said, we're picking up massive communication traffic from the Krillian surface. It appears the Emperor is broadcasting this conversation to his entire population. Good, the President said. Let them hear it. Back on the flagship, Emperor Krellix spoke again. If you are not here for revenge, what do you want? I want you to surrender yourself for trial, Kevin said. You and your military command. You will face justice for the destruction of New Kansas. You will answer for the attacks on human vessels. You will be held accountable for your crimes. And if I refuse, then we will take you by force. But we will not harm your people to do it. We will surgically strike your palace. We will neutralize your guards. We will extract you, and anyone else responsible. Your civilians will not be touched. The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound that the translator rendered as bitter. You threaten to invade my world but promise not to harm my people. Do you expect me to believe that? Look at our record, Kevin said. In 3 weeks of warfare, we have caused 0 civilian casualties. We have disabled your military while leaving your civilian infrastructure intact. We have shown more restraint than any species in galactic history. Why would we change now? Before the Emperor could respond, another transmission came through. This one was audio only. Originating from the Krillian surface. This is Citizen Vexra of the capital city. I am speaking for myself and thousands of others who are listening to this broadcast. Emperor, we have heard the truth about New Kansas. We have seen the evidence that was hidden from us. We know what you did. The Emperor's expression changed. This is treason. Cease this transmission immediately. No, the voice said. We will not be silent anymore. You told us the humans were aggressors. You told us they attacked us without cause. You lied. You started this war by killing their innocents, and now you ask us to protect you from the consequences. More voices joined the transmission. Hundreds, then thousands of Krillians speaking out against their own emperor. You have disgraced our people. You turned us into murderers. You deserve to face justice. Lauren looked at Kevin in surprise. Sir, we're seeing protests forming in the capital city. Millions of Krillians gathering in the streets. They're demanding the Emperor surrender. On Earth, Daniel Carter watched the same developments from the diplomatic center. Beside him, Ambassador Gregory Wells smiled. It's working, Gregory said. We broadcast the truth directly to their people. We showed them what their government did. We proved that we're not the monsters they were told to fear. Truth is a powerful weapon, Daniel said. More powerful than any missile. Back in orbit, Emperor Krellix watched his empire crumble around him. His people were turning against him. His military couldn't protect him. His allies on the council had abandoned him. What guarantee do I have? The Emperor asked. If I surrender? How do I know you won't simply execute me? You'll receive a fair trial, Kevin said. You'll be allowed to present evidence and witnesses. You'll be judged by an impartial tribunal, not by victims seeking revenge. That's what justice means. And my people? My worlds? Will be left alone. We have no interest in conquering the Krillian Empire. We want you held accountable. That's all. Thanks for watching. The tortoise see this. We'll be left alone. That's all. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. I will surrender, but not to you. I will surrender to the Galactic Council. Let them judge me. Acceptable, Kevin said. As long as justice is done, we don't care who administers it. The transmission ended. Within hours, Emperor Krellix and his senior military commanders boarded a transport under Krillian guard. The ship was escorted by both Krillian and human vessels to neutral space, where Council peacekeepers took custody. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session once more. This time, Daniel Carter was invited to participate. Councillor Zefra presided over the session. Vexthar had resigned his position after investigations confirmed he had taken bribes from multiple sources, including the Krillian Empire. This tribunal is convened to hear evidence in the matter of the New Kansas massacre, Zefra said. The accused are present. The prosecution is ready. We will proceed. The trial lasted 3 days. Human prosecutors, led by Patricia Morgan herself, presented the evidence. Flight data, communications, targeting patterns, survivor testimony. The Krillian defense tried to claim military necessity. They argued that New Kansas was a legitimate target because it supported human military operations. Patricia destroyed that argument with simple facts. New Kansas had no military installations, no shipyards, no weapons facilities. It was an agricultural colony. We grew food. Our largest structure was a grain storage facility. Our most advanced technology was irrigation systems. She showed images of the colony before the attack. Farms, schools, parks, children playing. Then she showed images after. Craters, ash, nothing alive. The tribunal watched in silence. On the final day, Patricia made her closing argument. She stood before the council and spoke with quiet dignity. I lost everything on New Kansas. My family, my home, my entire life. I have every reason to hate, every reason to want revenge. But I don't want revenge. I want something harder. I want justice. She looked at the Krillian Emperor. You ordered the attack on my world. You killed my children. You destroyed thousands of families. You did this to prove that humans were weak, to show us our place. But you were wrong. We are not weak. We proved that. We beat your military. We surrounded your homeworld. We could have done to you what you did to us. We could have killed billions, but we didn't. Because that's not justice. That's just more murder. Justice is holding you accountable. Justice is making sure this never happens again. Justice is building a galaxy where no one, human or Krillian or anyone else, has to fear their children being murdered and called an accident. She turned to the council. Find them guilty. Punish them. But also, use this moment to change. Make the council what it should be. A place where every species is protected, where the strong cannot prey on the weak, where justice actually means something. The tribunal deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, their verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all charges. Emperor Krellix and his commanders were sentenced to life imprisonment. The Krillian Empire was sanctioned. They would pay reparations to the families of New Kansas victims. They would dismantle half their military fleet. They would submit to council oversight for the next 20 years. But they would not be destroyed. Their people would not suffer for the crimes of their leaders. After the verdict, Councillor Zephyra approached Daniel. Ambassador Carter, the council would like to offer Earth a permanent seat. With full voting rights and equal status. We'll consider it, Daniel said. But only if the reforms we discussed are implemented. Equal protection for all species. Transparency in council operations. Strict penalties for corruption. Agreed, Zephyra said. We have learned a hard lesson. Ignoring justice leads to war. We won't make that mistake again. President Thompson addressed humanity from the White House. Today, justice was served. Not through revenge, not through conquest, but through the strength to fight and the wisdom to show mercy. We proved that humanity can be both warriors and peacemakers. We showed the galaxy who we really are. Across human space, people celebrated. Not because they had won a war, but because they had won something more important. They had shown the galaxy that Earth valued justice over vengeance. That humans could be fierce protectors without becoming destroyers. Admiral Kevin Harris returned to Earth orbit with his fleet. As he prepared to stand down from combat operations, he received a message from an unexpected source. It was from a Krillian military officer, one who had fought against human forces. The message was brief. You could have killed us all. Instead, you showed us mercy. You treated our prisoners with respect. You targeted only military assets. You proved that strength and honor can coexist. I did not believe that was possible. I was wrong. Thank you for teaching us a better way. Kevin saved that message. It reminded him why they had fought. Not to prove human superiority. Not to build an empire. But to show the galaxy that there was a better path. 6 months later, Earth officially rejoined the Galactic Council. The reforms Daniel had demanded were implemented. Corruption investigations led to the removal of 19 counselors. New oversight systems ensured equal treatment for all species. Human ships began patrolling trade routes, protecting not just human vessels but anyone who needed help. Pirates learned to avoid sectors where human patrols operated. Raiders found easier targets elsewhere. Other species watched and learned. If humans could combine military strength with moral restraint, perhaps they could too. The council slowly transformed from a body that protected the powerful to one that served all species equally. Patricia Morgan never returned to agriculture. She became an advocate for victims of violence across the galaxy. She spoke at schools and universities about the importance of choosing justice over revenge. Her story inspired millions. And on a memorial station built in orbit around where New Kansas once was, a monument was erected. It listed the names of all 12,000 victims. Above the names, a simple inscription, They died because the powerful believed they could act without consequence. They are remembered because the powerless refused to accept injustice. May their memory ensure this never happens again. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Underestimating humanity was dangerous. But more than that, they learned that humanity's true strength wasn't in their weapons, or their ships, or their warriors. It was in their unwavering belief that justice mattered, that every life had value, that the strong had a duty to protect the weak, not exploit them. The Galactic Council had been stunned by Earth's unexpected fury. But in the end, they were even more stunned by Earth's unexpected mercy, and that made all the difference.